first with the publishing model. What are publishers telling you for the past 14 months? What's been their experience? Hesitation, concerns on their part? What's been their reaction?
Publishers love Kindle. As you probably heard, over the last 14 months, if a book is available in Kindle format and in physical format, the Kindle sales now make up 10% of Amazon sales of that title. That's really exciting for publishers. Second,
is it cannibalizing current sales, or is it additive in your experience?
What we know from Kindle customers is that they're reading more. They tell us that all the time, and the numbers support it. Kindle customers actually buy 2.7 times more books than they were previously. The other thing that publishers love is there are things that are great about the digital world that are different from the physical world. You never go out of stock of a hot title when you can publish on Kindle. You don't have to guess on your print run for an initial book when you make it available for Kindle. These are all things that are great for customers, they're great for authors, and they're great for publishers.
Amazon already has millions of regular customers for general book sales, traditional book sales. Is there a number that you guys release, by the way, in terms of that? Is it 5 million, 10 million, 20 million?
We have our overall number of customers that we have. I'd have to get you the latest number.
But I'll say the millions.
Tens of millions of customers.
Of the tens of millions of customers who regularly buy traditional books. Do you have any sense of penetration over the next 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, in terms of where this Kindle will go, in terms of, will 1% of those go to Kindle? Would 2%, 5%? Any kind of just general guess? I
have no projections for you in the future. I can't project the future. I can tell you that, customers who buy Kindle love the experience. They tell us every day about how it has changed the way that they read.
On the technology side, more shades of gray, more contrast, faster, longer battery life. Anything that you wanted to get into this version that just didn't make it, maybe we'll see in a future version? One example I just would ask is, some users have told us that the flash between pages is still annoying to them. I guess it might be a little less of a flash in this particular case in Kindle 2.0, but what are some of the features that maybe you wanted to get in here, or you might see in the future?
We're really excited about the features that we've added to Kindle 2. The 16 shades of gray make images really sharp for newspaper. Page turns are faster. Battery life is much longer. You can read for up to 2 weeks with wireless off, so you don't have to think about that while you're reading. And so what we concentrate on is making the experience seamless and hassle-free for customers. More features aren't necessarily the best thing, because that can interfere with the reading experience. And so what we want to do is make sure that the device disappears when they're reading and they're lost in the words.
Talk about the relationship with Stephen King. Talk about how that came about. Initially he declined, but then he had a epiphany, a realization that he could write a story for this platform. Maybe just talk about that.
Yes, Stephen came to us and said he wanted to write a novella for Kindle, and we said great. And, one of the great things about Stephen is he loves to invent, he loves to try new things, and we're excited that he's a passionate and Kindle customer. He likes reading on it, as he said, and we're excited to have him write for it.
Let me ask you, Charles Dickens and even Stephen King serialized a few of their novels. That is, instead of coming out with the whole novel at once, they issued chapters or bunches of chapters over time. Charles Dickens particularly did that because he'd get more money that way back in those times. Do you see the Kindle enabling new kinds of publishing that you don't have to necessarily publish the whole novel at once? Are there authors or publishers you think will start experimenting with this?
I think one of the things that you'll start to see in the future is it is a great way for publishers to experiment, because that cost of that experimentation is much lower. And so now that you've seen publishers getting their most of their backlist and traditional books on Kindle, you'll start to see innovation of new types of books, just like you saw with Stephen, of a short novella that could come out that has recency in it. I think you'll start to see people aggregate content. I can imagine large travel guides that are all part of one book. And other things like that. And so, yes, I think you'll start to see from different publishers lots of great new ideas going forward.
Have any publishers yet, or do you expect they will, publish first to Kindle to experiment and get reaction to the book before they go to print? Any examples yet?
We did in the fall have some people publish exclusively for Kindle and then decide if they were going to take that book to print. A little bit of that experimentation today. My guess is if it's valuable for publishers, they'll consider it in the future. But that's a question for them.
Mm-hmm. What's your overall prediction, before we get to books, newspaper and magazines? Where do you see the industries going, independent of Kindle, really, and then kind of maybe what Kindle fits into?
Yeah, you'll have to ask those questions to somebody else who is better at predicting the future. What we've tried to do is make the newspaper experience on Kindle a great reading experience. So the first thing is you subscribe to the paper, and then it's wirelessly delivered, right? Not over Wi-Fi, over the 3G network, so no matter where you are, on a nightly basis. So I wake up in the morning, I live in Seattle, I get my New York Times, I get my Boston Globe so I can read my Boston Globe sports, I get blogs that I like to read, and then you can come to the newspaper and you can flip from article to article or go section by section, whichever way you want to read.
Great. Talk about Kindle in terms of future of Amazon. How does it play a future? Not necessarily profit and loss and things like that, but positioning and strategy and the positioning of Amazon as a leader online in e-commerce and in delivering information.
I think Kindle, too, is very consistent with Amazon's approach, which is we start with the customer and we work backwards. So in this instance, we thought about things that would be a seamless customer experience that would be different than what a physical book can do, but would be features that a customer would want. A physical book can't turn into a newspaper, a magazine, a blog. A physical book can't read to you and remember the page that you're on. A physical book can't be backed up in the cloud and be re-downloaded with your notes and your annotations. And that's the same philosophy we have in our retail world. And what customers care about there is low prices, great selection, and fast delivery. And Amazon will continue to focus on those things.
What's the international story on Kindle?
We've received, we have millions of book customers worldwide. We've received interest and emails from customers asking us to bring Kindle, to other countries. Today our only announcement is Kindle 2 here, in the United States.
Okay. And are you really seeing numbers in terms of the number of Kindles out there today, 1.0s, the number of customers?
We don't provide that information for Kindle or for any of our businesses.
Okay. Safe to say it's in the tens or hundreds of thousands?
We don't provide any information on Kindle sales or any of our category or business sales.
Great. And just internally, would you say that Jeff was really the visionary, or the whole team, or how would you describe the internal process of coming up with Kindle?
We sat down many years ago and we said that if we were going to try to create a customer experience for digital books, because others had tried and it hadn't succeeded, is we couldn't outbook the book, and we needed to think of things that the book couldn't do. And there were many people on Amazon involved in that, both with thinking of that and then executing on it. Right? It took a great team to be able to build a device that can be this thin and do what it does.
Great. Thank you very much, Steve.
My pleasure.